Hello and welcome back everyone. In this video, we're going to learn about one of the approaches to developing business strategy, and this approach is called the blue ocean strategy. It does remind me of the beach. I'm going to keep that at the back of my mind while I explain what the strategy is all about. So, the authors of this strategy argue that generally in the past, traditionally, when businesses have tried to enter a market, what they've been trying to do is they've been trying to outperform the existing competition, meaning that businesses try to copy a certain way of doing things or a certain product. They will make slight changes in them, and they will simply try to convince the customers that they are now a better alternative to the already existing products. They argue that this is not the right way to approach a new business strategy. This strategy, where they argue that businesses are trying to fight for the same space and the competition is getting so cramped that the businesses are actually hurting themselves, they call this the red ocean. The blue ocean, on the other hand, is the opposite. This is an ocean which has smooth sailing for the business because there aren't any competitors, or there are very few competitors to speak of in the blue oceans. So they argue that businesses should operate in the blue rather than in the red. I want to explain that now. But first of all, just to explain what the blue ocean strategy is all about. It's a method of obviously strategic analysis where businesses try to combine two fundamental core values. And they try to combine product differentiation. So they argue that businesses should actually differentiate, should have something that is unique to their product, not just start copying others, and it should have value to the customers. So it's a method combining both product differentiation and creating value for customers by entering untapped market spaces. So stop going after the same type of demand, create something, or go for something that no one is thinking about. And that's what they argue. So the advice is to stay away from your red oceans where you're trying to compete in existing market spaces, where you're just trying to outperform the competitions to stand out rather than pointing out the things that you're good at. And these are also markets where you're fighting for existing demand. So the rules of the game are clearly established. You simply go in and try to see if you are better at playing by those rules. If you enter the blue oceans, which is what the argument here is in this strategy, these are untapped market spaces. This is where you're not trying to outperform, but you're trying to make the competition irrelevant. And finally, you're not fighting for demand, you are creating new demand. So let's look at this strategy in a little more detail now. So this is a visual representation of this strategy. On the left, we can see here that this is the red ocean where there are a lot of businesses, high competition, fighting for the same space. And if this is you just entering the market, you're already up against it because there are other established businesses who have their own established customer base and perhaps larger budgets. It's difficult for you to compete in such a market space. And all of these established businesses would have ties with the suppliers. So the suppliers would want to give to them first, to you later. They would have their own customer base, so you have to fight for them over your own customer base as well. So this competition is so intense that intense competition makes this water bloody, which is why it's called the red ocean. So the red ocean is something where the market is already established, so the demand is quite saturated, meaning all the customers within this industry have been divided up by the businesses in existence. And when new ones come in, they have to work really hard to get any attraction from these existing, already established and saturated markets. The profit margins also start shrinking because there's so many businesses fighting for the same cramped space, same number of customers, but more businesses mean there is additional fighting over it. Which obviously, when you're trying to enter new business, you want to make sure that you seem at least as good as the existing competition. You can obviously try to be better, but at least as good. So a lot of new businesses simply try to copy what the businesses are already selling. So more and more in the red ocean, businesses and brands start looking similar. So just different packaging, but the product doing the same thing. And to gain the attention of the customers, the businesses resort to price wars. So they'll reduce $1, the other would reduce $1, and in the end, it's the businesses that are suffering. So red oceans, big no-no. Blue, on the other hand, much better. When you're entering a space where there's clear waters, very little competition, that's what you want. You want a business which is, I understand at this point, uncharted territory. You don't know what it's all about, but you can explore and make a big name for yourself. And the research has shown that businesses that become successful in the blue ocean have the potential to dominate that industry for 10 to 15 years. Why? Because there is either few or no competition. You have a properly differentiated product. So you have a USP, something that you can use to make your image more concrete. And you're trying to create value by finding ways to produce the product at a lower cost. And that's where the value comes in. Remember, the concept was to combine differentiated product and low cost ambitions. That's the goal here. And it's the combination of these two, having a differentiated product and having low cost ambitions, which leads to what the authors termed value innovation. That's what you need to provide to your customer. As long as you do that, this is what you will be, and this is what you can achieve. So the lessons to take away from this are easy to understand, right? Don't swim in the bloody waters full of competition. Why? Because there's so much competition, and in the end, there's too much supply and not enough demand. So you'll either end up having inventory pile up, or you'll continue to lose your product to wastage, or simply sales just not taking place. On the flip side, the idea is to enter the blue oceans. You should look to create demand, don't fulfill it. Reinvent things, reinvent the market itself. Think about Airbnb. Before, you need to call the hotel, make a booking, and you wouldn't get to see a picture or a review. They redesigned, they reimagined the market, and they have now been dominating it for a number of years now. So you need to reinvent, rethink how you can solve the same problem a little differently. And if there are any changes in the external market, you need to adapt and adapt fast. If you can do that, if you can find a market that's still untouched, still pristine, if you can find the right balance and the right product, then you become the dominant business in the industry. And that's what you should look to do when you're trying to change your growth strategy and come up with a new one. So once businesses have identified a blue ocean to sail into, they need to come up with the right strategies. How do you develop your plan for this new industry? And we're going to look at it through the eye of an example. And the business that we're looking at is called Cirque du Soleil. This is a reimagined circus. This is one of the most popular examples to show you how a blue ocean strategy could really work. And at the back of it, all blue ocean strategies are based on 4 fundamental changes in the business. And they are, first of all, to be successful in the blue ocean, you need to find things within the business that you need to eliminate. And what are the things that you can raise? What are the things that you can reduce? And what are the things that you need to create in order to be successful in the blue ocean? So when Cirque du Soleil was trying to come up with their blue ocean strategy, they asked themselves, what are the acts and activities that the leaders invest their time and intelligence in that should be eliminated? So what are the extras? And what they were doing extra was that they were figuring out things that they need to do soon, and they were simply putting them in the diary. And they felt that that's not the right way to go about this. This is something that we need to eliminate. We need more action, more prompt action. When they were thinking about things that they need to raise, they asked themselves, what are the action activities that leaders invest their time and intelligence in that should be raised above their current value? So, what are they doing well, and how can they improve on that? And they felt that their clowns, their acrobats, and their tent settings were three aspects that could be improved. Then they asked themselves, what can we reduce? So they asked, what acts and activities do leaders invest their time and intelligence that should be reduced well below their current level? So, what is it that people are not liking? What is it that we are not delivering so well? And they felt that for the circus, humor and danger were two things that they need to reduce. And finally, when they thought about creating things, they asked, what are the activities that investors spend their time and intelligence in that should currently do not undertake? What should be introduced? What is that missing ingredient? And they felt that for their way of performing the circus, they needed better storylines and they need original music. The result is one of the most successful entertainment businesses in the world, where shows which are sold out months in advance. If you should get a chance, you should watch one of their videos on YouTube, millions of views, and they've really reinvented the circus. They've thrown out the expenses of managing animals, feeding them, pitching big tents, taking dangerous parts by putting up acrobats in different situations where their lives might be in danger. So they remove the things that the modern society and the modern customer does not like, and they put in things that people do like. People like original music, storylines. So they made a combination of these, which has resulted in Cirque du Soleil being a truly great example of success in the blue ocean strategy.